Welcome to Bunkies Woodworking.
We're doing another Bunkies build video.
Today we are updating our vacuum system, adding a cyclone separator.
We're also making it a little bit more mobile by adding a cart on the existing vacuum.
Let's have a look at how it was done.
Okay, first thing I do is I go ahead and take a couple measurements and get some scrap wood together, stuff that I'm kind of planning to use for the cart for the vacuum cleaner. Okay, so I went ahead and cut up some boards and used some scrap from the CNC from when we did our coffee table. I was planning to go ahead and put just a slight angle on the boards, and then I used pocket holes in order to fit everything together. And then I did a quick, I think I used a 60-degree angle or something, and I re-strengthened the top with another board across the top. Okay, so we're currently using a General International vacuum cleaner for our dust collector right now. Of course, me and my wife are now having a discussion. We ended up deciding to go ahead and put a top on the cart. So I'm going ahead and cutting out a circle to put on top of the cart, and I'm holding it on in with a screw. And we also talked briefly about maybe having something to wrap the cord around. And we go ahead and I just cut an angle into a board so I can go ahead and attach it to the side, so it would have an easy spot for the cord to go on. Okay, the big reason why we went ahead and decided to make the stand so much higher was because we just recently got a jet cyclonic dust separator system with the bin.
That bin ended up being a little bit taller than the existing vacuum system, and we didn't want to use a whole lot of flex hose in between vacuum and the cyclone separator.
Now, as you can see, I just finished getting the top and the cord wind on, and I'm going to start working on the handle for the cart.
Here comes Gray supervising.
Aww. I find him in the shop all the time just watching me go about my business, and it is adorable. So I go ahead and install what's going to be basically the handle for the cart, so I can just grab it and move it around the shop. So I took some scrap 2x4 and went over to my table saw and cut quarter-inch strips out of it. So all I needed to do is kind of break the pieces off and just attach it to the quarter-inch plywood for the handle. At first, one of them was just a little bit too tight, so I had to go ahead and touch it up. Then, just to make it look nice, I went ahead and set up my router with a round over bit, and I went ahead and tried to round over all the handles so it would look nice. Then I went ahead and glued it on the project, and then I went ahead and set the cart on the side, and I put some 90-degree angles just so it kind of gives it a little bit more support for moving it around.
There is Tim buttering up the supervisor now.
Just as a reminder, if you like our videos, please like and subscribe and ring the bell icon. Okay, now I go ahead and start drilling holes for the wheels. Okay, so now I go ahead and start tapping in the caster sockets, and I go ahead and start putting in the wheels. and I had a little bit of issues aligning the wheels with the casters and the holes in the wood. So I had to go through and re-drill all of the things, and I ended up putting screws in all of the casters, or the caster sockets. And then Gray, the supervisor, stopped by in order to scold me for not doing it right the first time.
Now the cart is ready to be set on the ground and vacuum goes on. I think the cord reel looks good.
Now we're going to go ahead and set up the jet tool. And this right here, I ended up cutting myself on that little piece of wire on that. Oh, and there's my supervisor. And now you'll see my mastery of video editing. I go ahead and have my cell phone watching the jet cyclone, and you can see all the dust that comes up on there, and you can see the whole thing working, and it's working pretty good.
For the exception, and Tim agrees, dust builds up on the bottom of the cyclone, as you can see.
Okay, so I go ahead and cut the hose, and we put in a Y that goes to a 2.5-inch hose and a 4-inch hose, one going to the cyclone separator, and one that will branch off and go to the CNC router machine. And then this actually is a very good setup. The CNC router makes a lot of fine dust, which the cyclone separator will only really separate the heavy chips, while the in the system's not really built for the fine particles. So I can go directly and have the blast gate shut for the cyclone separator, and have the blast gate open for the router, the smaller hose. So it will have more suction rather than less. Then I go ahead and attach the new hose. This is a really neat hose that we got from Rockler that it goes from 3 feet all the way to 12 feet, and it's I think it's going to be perfect for a router, so it's not having to drag a stiff hose from one side of the 8-foot board to the other. It's right around here that I see that there is some need for improvement. So I switched the hose, or the Y hose, around. So then I can go ahead and make a hose reel. Okay, so I ended up getting a 2x6 board, and I went ahead and measured it and figured out the lengths that I wanted for this hose reel. Then I went ahead and got a saw, cut it to length, and I went ahead and marked and rounded over the sharp corners. Then I got my router, rounded over all of the corners with the router. And then I got my table saw out, and I went ahead and cut 45s into the bottom portion of the board.
And this is really the trial for this vacuum system. It ended up working fine, but there is also room for improvement.
The room for improvement would probably be in the table saw itself. It seems to not have a really good seal, and we lose a lot of the suction pressure. Okay, so now I go ahead and position the vacuum cleaner so we're kind of facing the handle I made. Then I go ahead and use pocket holes, and I make part of the hose reel. And as you can see, the hose reel looks pretty darn good, and it works great. Yeah, we had a lot of dust separators that we really could have picked, but one of the biggest selling points, in my opinion, was how clear it was, and you could see the dust going in.
It is fun to watch a transparent cyclonic dust separator working.
Okay, so we're new at making these types of videos. If you see anything that we could have possibly done better, please go ahead and leave it in the comment below. Thank you for watching our videos. Please like and subscribe.
While you're at it, please check out our Etsy store. We have provided the link in the description below.